Celebrating the new year responsibly. What resources are available to get drivers home safely after partying? And former President Jimmy Carter passed away over the weekend. The connections he has to the city of Madison. Plus, drivers are getting a new gift in the new year. How low gas prices are expected to drop in 2025. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Now, the warmth will soon leave southern Wisconsin in the new year, and snow showers could fall as we bring in 2025. Jacob joins us now with the New Year's Eve forecast. Jacob.
Yeah, New Year's Eve is expected to be another day a little bit above average, but right as 2025 starts, those temperatures are going to drop below it and continuing to fall for the first week of the new year. Now let's take a look at the current conditions. 32 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, a lot less foggy, which is the good news. And as we look at the temperatures across the region, mostly in the 30s, although areas near Lake Michigan have been warmer. Some 40s are the current temperatures out there. Now, we are still dealing with some fog, but most of it has cleared up. The story for New Year's Eve will be the precipitation that's expected to move in, and we can already start to see some of those flurries that are moving into southwestern Wisconsin, likely impacting portions of Dubuque and around Platteville. But if we zoom further out, you can see there is quite a bit of moisture right now out in Iowa, and this wintry mix will continue to push into southern Wisconsin throughout the evening and into the overnight hours. Now, we could see some snow, some freezing rain, even some solid rainfall as well. And although it's not going to be very heavy, it could make roads fairly slippery, and this is expected to continue into the morning hours. And we also will see some precipitation throughout the day. Very light, I should point out. I'll talk more in detail about that and talk about the big cool down expected coming up a bit later.
Sounds good, Jacob. We'll see you then. The countdown to the new year starts tomorrow. It's important to make a plan before going out to celebrate. Our Tanasia Shaw is covering the ways you can practice safety on the roads tomorrow night.
We want everyone to be safe, and we don't want people driving while they're under the influence, not only of alcohol, but also if people are using other substances, we don't want them behind the wheel either.
Road safety is important every day. There have been 16 deadly crashes caused by an impaired driver in Dane County this year alone. The Madison Police Department wants to make sure that number doesn't increase on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve is typically a pretty busy night, not just for, people that are driving while under the influence, but also we see an uptick in burglaries and bar fights and things of that nature as well.
There will be extra officers on patrol for the holiday.
There will be more law enforcement presence. We also know there's a lot of our local and state partners that are also out patrolling the area as well.
Not only to crack down on reckless driving, but also to help with anything.
We can always also do what we can to attempt to help them find a ride as well if it's needed.
If your plan doesn't fall through, you can always use AAA as a last resort to get home safely.
During New Year's and many other big holidays throughout the year, we activate what we call our Tow to Go program. You can call our special toll-free number to get a free ride home for yourself as well as a tow for your vehicle.
The biggest thing to remember is there's so many different taxi services within Madison. There's Uber, there's Lyft, and there's other local services that people can be reaching out to for rides.
Reporting in Madison, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanasia, thank you. A Madison man is arrested after police say he brought a large knife to Hy-Vee on the city's east side. A little after 6 Sunday night, officers were called to the store on East Washington Avenue. Police say the 42-year-old was trying to leave when officers arrived. After a traffic stop, officers arrested the man. Police say they found a knife and an AR-style rifle during a search. He's being charged with disorderly conduct while armed and a concealed carry weapon violation. A Sussex man is dead after a crash this morning in Janesville. The Rock County Sheriff's Office says deputies were called to a two-vehicle crash near West County Highway A and North County Highway H. A little later after 6, deputies say the 58-year-old ran a stop sign and collided with a car being driven by a 19-year-old. The 58-year-old was taken to a hospital where he later died. The 19-year-old is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. A Ring camera captures a brutal attack on a couple in Milwaukee. They are now asking for help identifying the 3 attackers. Just before midnight Friday, Genevieve McCullough says 3 teenagers began demanding her partner's wallet and keys when things got violent. The sudden attack captured on their Ring doorbell camera. It wasn't until McCullough and another friend jumped in, and that's when the teenagers took off running.
I'm really disappointed that they, see someone so vulnerable and they go after them, and it's really heartbreaking. And to the parents, it's just, why can't you be in their lives more, or why can't you care more?
McCullough and her partner now are asking for people in the community to help identify the attackers as they call for accountability and as Milwaukee police investigate. Former President Jimmy Carter passed away at the age of 100. President Biden ordered the flag at the White House and all federal buildings be lowered to half staff in tribute to the 39th president. Former President Bill Clinton praised Carter for his tireless work to make the world a better place. Former President George W. Bush said that the Carter Center dignified the office. And former President Barack Obama said Carter promised to always tell the truth and advocating for the public good, consequences be damned.
Millions of people all around the world, all over the world, feel they lost a friend as well, even though they never met him. And that's because Jimmy Carter lived a life measured not by words, but by his deeds.
President-elect Donald Trump said on social media, while he strongly disagreed with Carter, that the late president worked hard to make America a better place. And for that, I give him my highest respect. Carter will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol next week. As the tributes to Carter continue to come in, we take a look back at his connections to Madison. Kyle Pozorski reports.
The former president didn't make too many trips to Wisconsin over his life, but he did so in 1994, delivering a speech at UW to speak about the many problems across America.
The Carter Center takes on projects that no government particularly wants to do.
The 39th Commander-in-Chief is being remembered in death as a champion of civil and human rights, but it's perhaps his time building homes with Habitat for Humanity that far outshines his time in office. Dee Wiley volunteered for Habitat alongside the former president.
We are just so lucky that we had him as an example.
Wiley met with him on 2 occasions, volunteering on work trips to Haiti in 2011, following a devastating earthquake in 2010.
He was always so personable, just smiling a lot. He has been such a model for us here. You just can't say enough. He practiced what he preached.
Carter, along with his wife Rosalind, built homes with Habitat for so long that many even believed he founded the organization. Wiley tells News 3 Now that while both have now left this earth, people within the Habitat community will not soon forget his work.
I think that his presence is still with us, that we really haven't lost him, because he was such a good example.
In Madison, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. The CEO of Habitat for Humanity Dane County further says Carter will be deeply missed. Just a heads up, you'll need a real ID to fly domestically starting in May 2025. That's unless you have a passport or an enhanced driver's license issued by several states. The deadline is May 7th. You can apply for your Real ID compliant driver's license or ID card through your local Department of Motor Vehicles. Real IDs are marked with a star at the top of the card. Congress mandated the Real IDs in 2005 on the recommendation of the 9/11 Commission. New numbers shine a light on how many people visited DMVs this year in Wisconsin. The Division of Motor Vehicles served nearly 2.3 million customers in person. More than 30,000 people renewed their licenses online, while nearly 930,000 people received new or replacement licenses in person. And there's a special New Year's gift for all of our drivers. Gas prices are expected to drop in 2025 for the 3rd straight year. The national average for regular gas is predicted to fall to $3.22 a gallon. That's about 10 cents less than in 2024. According to Gas Buddy, if the projections hold, the typical household should spend about $2,250 on fuel next year. After the break, a federal court upholds a verdict against President-elect Donald Trump. And mutations are found in a human case of the bird flu. Why some health experts say the CDC is not doing enough to stop the spread.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Thank you for staying with us. Today, a federal appeals court upheld the civil case verdict that found Donald Trump guilty of sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll. The court also denied Trump's request for a new trial. Trump had challenged the $5 million verdict, saying the trial judge had erred in allowing testimony from two other women who also accused Trump of sexual assault. The appeals court disagreed, saying they weren't persuaded a new trial was warranted. And President-elect Donald Trump wants to keep Representative Mike Johnson as House Speaker. He endorsed the congressman from Louisiana days before the House votes. Trump wrote that Johnson is a good, hardworking, religious man who will do the right thing and continue to win. On Friday, the new Congress is set to convene to elect a speaker. There's still no evidence of bird flu passing from person to person, but health experts warn that mutations of the virus could make it more likely to spread between humans. A recently hospitalized patient in Louisiana with the U.S.'s first severe case of H5N1 shows the virus likely mutated in the person. The CDC has emphasized the risk to the general public has not changed and remains low, but some health experts say not enough is being done.
I flash back to January of 2020, and I'm hearing the same words come out of the CDC.
Like what?
Low risk of human-to-human transmission.
Now,
our
that should
agencies
match the
are
moment.
making the same mistakes they made with COVID.
The CDC is pushing back against claims the U.S. isn't testing for the bird flu virus, saying with comments about avian flu testing are out of date, misleading, and inaccurate. If 2 weeks ago someone had asked the U.S. on whether or not the bald eagle was our national bird, it would have been a trick question. But now there's celebration after President Biden made the bald eagle the nation's official bird last week. The National Eagle Center in Wabasha, Minnesota, teamed with Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar for a news conference heralding the development. Klobuchar led the bipartisan effort to change that.
Seeing these birds up close, you can feel just how majestic they are, and you can understand why our founders chose the bald eagle to appear on our nation's official seal.
The bill that lands the eagle in U.S. code passed the House and Senate with no opposition. When we return, Jacob tells us about the drop in temperatures to kick off the new year. Plus, unsavory weather could slow down travel to end out 2024. The flight delays being seen across the country.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
The nation's airports and roadways will be crowded to close out 2024. But the weather in some parts of the country could slow things down. And the famous New Year celebration in New York Times Square could see some soggy skies. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington.
2024 may be nearing its close, but at the nation's airports, the busy holiday travel period isn't over yet.
We just got all the bags checked, so hopefully security doesn't take too long.
The Transportation Security Administration expected Monday to be one of the busiest days of the holiday stretch, and it came after a weekend of severe weather in the southeastern U.S., including deadly storms in Texas, Mississippi, and North Carolina. Hundreds of flights within, into, or out of the U.S. were canceled on Sunday, and more than 11,000 flights were delayed. This traveler headed west from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, taking a Monday morning delay in stride.
Okay, if it's only an hour. If it ends up being 5 or 6 hours, then, you lose the day in Arizona. But you know what? It's vacation, so no complaints.
Meanwhile, in New York, preparations are underway for an expected 1 million New Year's Eve revelers in Times Square, including a test drop of the famous confetti on Sunday.
We're going to test it here today so that we're ready to start 2025 strong.
And a warning from city officials Monday to expect rainy skies.
The lucky ones that are going to be up front and able to see the ball drop, dress warmly. We're expecting rain, so we're telling you to be prepared for the weather.
While the East will contend with rain to end 2024, parts of the Midwest could also see a messy New Year's Eve as some snow mixes with rain at times. I'm Karen Kaifa reporting.
All right, Jacob, what should we expect for our New Year's Day weather?
Yeah, exactly what she said. We are going to see that little bit of a mixture, but the good thing is that we're not going to see anything too heavy. So looking at the three things you need to know, the first one, we are going to see some slick spots with a little bit of a wintry mix for New Year's Eve. And then we're going to see cold temperatures to start the year, especially by the weekend and next week. And then after New Year's Eve, our next chance of snow will be on Sunday. So let's take a look at the forecast for New Year's Eve. We are already starting to see some of that snow move into the area. That's going to continue throughout the evening into the overnight hours. We could see some light freezing drizzle and some light sprinkles mix in with the snowfall. But again, nothing is expected to be heavy, but it still could create some slippery roads. Now, once we get to the afternoon for New Year's Eve, the temperatures are going to fall a little bit, and that will allow pretty much only snow from happening, or only snow to happen, but it's still expected to be fairly light. Now, some of those flurries are going to continue as we head closer to midnight, possibly even into the early morning hours on Wednesday for New Year's Day, but pretty much after sunrise, a lot of our area will be dry. So as we take a look at the accumulation forecast, again, we're not expecting much, but this does not mean that the roads aren't going to be slippery, even though we're going to see less than an inch of snow. We could see some of that freezing drizzle create some slick spots. So let's recap your New Year's Eve forecast. A light mix of snow, rain, and freezing drizzle early, and then flurries late. As those temperatures cool down, it will allow only flurries for happening. And then we are going to see temperatures continuing to fall as we get closer to midnight. So temperatures will be in the lower 30s for the morning and the afternoon, but we'll be in the middle 20s by the time the new year strikes. And then temperatures are going to continue to fall from there. We're expecting high temperatures to be below average starting Wednesday, and the temperatures are going to continue to fall as we head towards the weekend and next week. Let's take a look at the high temperature forecast. They're going to be around 20 from Friday through Monday, and then the middle of next week is going to be even colder. We're going to have high temperatures in the single digits. Low temperatures may be below zero, which obviously means wind chills are expected to be well below zero. So although it has been a warm year, it's not going to be a warm start to next year. Now, obviously, this doesn't indicate what it's going to be like for the rest of the year, but a complete opposite pretty much from what we've seen a good chunk of 2024. So as we take a look at the full 7 to 10 day forecast, we are looking dry for the rest of the week, Wednesday through Saturday. That snowfall on Sunday. Now, there is a system expected to track across the United States, and if the track moves a little bit further north from what it is right now, we actually could see some accumulation. But right now, with the temperatures being where they are, it looks like most of it will stay south, but we are still expecting some snowfall from that. But no matter where it tracks through, it's going to cool temperatures down afterwards, even further from what they're going to be over the weekend. We may have almost 6 to 7 nights in a row where low temperatures will be in the single digits and morning wind chills will be near zero. So very cold, especially over the weekend and next week.
And coming up in sports, Packers 0-5 against the NFC's top teams. How Matt LaFleur described his team's loss to the Vikings. That's next on News 3 Now. It was the same old story for the Packers on Sunday. Slow start against one of the top teams in the NFL leads to another loss. If you're keeping track at home, that's 5 losses to teams named the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings. Good news, the Packers are already in the postseason. The bad, they haven't figured out how to beat a playoff team from the NFC yet. And after 5 opportunities, it's, in a word, frustrating.
Honestly, I didn't feel like it was to our standard, and you got to give them credit. I mean, that's a good football team, but obviously we've lost to 3 of the best teams in the league 5 times, and that is frustrating because I think we've had opportunities in every one of those games to win the game, and we haven't done that.
Well, kickoff is set for Green Bay's regular season finale against Chicago, and the Packers and Bears renew the NFL's oldest rivalry in Lambeau on Sunday at noon. The Packers have won 11 straight in this series and 20 out of the last 22 meetings. What a weekend it was for the Badger men's hockey team. Saturday, Wisconsin beat Ferris State 8-0 to advance to Sunday's championship, where they tallied 4 goals in the third to top UConn and win their 2nd straight holiday face-off title. Now, the 2 wins didn't get Mike Hastings' squad into the latest USCHO poll, but they are receiving votes. Up next for Wisconsin, #1 Michigan State on Thursday in East Lansing, and then Saturday at Wrigley. And like last week, this Friday is another special edition of Wisconsin Huddle, where we look back at some of the best segments during the first 17 weeks. Show airs at 6:30 right here on News 3 Now.
Can you give us a little sneak peek as far as what are some of your favorite moments from the huddle?
Well, I can tell you a lot of the moments in the show are me either losing to an athlete in some game or contest or just getting made fun of. So it's a lot of let's laugh at Zach. So you probably want to tune in for that.
All right, I think I'll set the DVR or something. All right, sounds good. Jacob, what
Did
should
Brady
we expect?
edit this? Sorry.
No, he did. But
That sounds like something he would do.
For sure. I know Andrew and I, we were there for a couple of those tapings, so.
You know what's coming. You know what's coming.
Just a few. Jacob, what should we expect?
Yeah, we're going to see a light wintry mix for New Year's Eve. Nothing too heavy, but again, it still could create some slick spots through Wednesday morning. And then we're going to see colder temperatures, but dry conditions for the rest of the week. Our next chance of snow after tomorrow will be Sunday, as those temperatures just continue to drop. Packers might be grateful they don't have a home playoff game because it would be a cold one if that continues into the following weekend. But still going to be cold this Sunday, as we'll see temperatures only in the teens and then highs only in the single digits for the middle of next week. So definitely some cold air to start 2025, kind of countering what 2024 was like.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Zach. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you back here at 10.